see dead people.
Put that on that beat, go.
Hey, Mustard on the beat, ho, Debo, any rap nigga, he a free throw, man down, call her Amber Lambs, tell him breathe, bro, nail a nigga to the cross, he walk around like Tizo. What's up with these jabroni ass niggas trying to see Compton? The industry can hate me, fuck them all and they mama. How many options you really got? I mean, it's too many options. I'm finna pass on this body, I'm John Stockton. Beat your ass and hide the Bible if God watching. Sometimes you gotta pop out and show niggas. Certified boogeyman, I'm the one that up to score with him. Walking down whole time, I know he got some hoe in him. Pole on him, extort shit, bully the flow on him. Say Drake, I hear you like I'm young. You better not ever go to cell block 1. To any bitch that talk to him and they in love, just make sure you hide your little sister from him. They tell me Chubb's the only one that get your hand-me-downs. And party at the party playing with his nose now. And Baca got a weird case, why is he around? Certified lover boys, certified pedophiles. Wop, 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 wop. That fuck him up. Wop, 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 wop. I'ma do my stuff. Why you trolling like a bitch, ain't you tired? Trying to strike a chord, and it's probably A minor. They not like us. 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 You think the bay gon' let you disrespect my nigga? I think that.
I'm breaking the fourth wall.
Greetings and salutations, everyone. Welcome to the Dirt Sheet Radio NXT post-show rewind for May the 7th, 2024. I am Tyler, the Pro Wrestling Hipster, and I am here brought to you in part by Comic Book Click, our partner on the web for all your comic book and pop culture needs. comicbookclick.com/dirtsheetradio. Make your homepage. Check it out often. John's always doing live updates and lots of written content coming your way on there. Welcome to the show, everyone. As I said, I am the Pro Wrestling Hipster, and I will be flying solo tonight for tonight's NXT Rewind. CJ is sick. Malik is off doing legitimate sports things, so it is just me tonight. So it's going to be a little bit of a different show, maybe paced a little bit differently, probably a little bit quicker. But hey, you know what? We're going to hop right into tonight's main event. We had the Prodigy, Roxanne Perez, taking Roxanne Perez taking on Chelsea Green. This was a pretty solid match. Unfortunately, I don't think it was the best showing from either women in their careers. I think the size differential between Roxanne and Chelsea worked to their disadvantage here. I'm not sure how often they had worked together prior to this, but there were some spots in the match that were a little clunky. But overall, solid work, solid main event. Only 8 minutes and 54 seconds. I thought that it would have had more time than that going into it. But Roxanne Perez does pick up the win here, retaining her championship, which makes complete sense as the roster split locked into place last night. So Chelsea couldn't really walk away with the NXT championship as she's a SmackDown wrestler. So she had to go back home to SmackDown after tonight. But the good crowd reaction for everyone involved. Roxanne is getting booed, which is fantastic. That's what she's shooting here for. So the heel turn is really starting to solidify and take effect here. So post match, there really wasn't an angle for Chelsea or Roxy after the match, but there was a post match angle. We had Tony D'Angelo and the family shoving members of the No Quarter Catch crew into the back of their SUV and then just peeling out of there as Charlie Dempsey walks out alone looking for his friends. So we'll see what happens to the No Quarter Catch crew if they get taken to the bridge, vanished, if they're, wherever, Gulag wound up. That's what the family does. They get rid of people. So that was our ending segment as it went off the air tonight. And going to wrap around here to the front of tonight's show. And I will say, if there's any blips or jitteriness to my feed tonight. My internet connection might get a little bit wonky, or hell, even my power might get a little bit wonky. Here in parts unknown Ohio, we do have some tornado warnings in effect currently, but it's early summer, springtime in Ohio. It's what we're used to. But hey, just FYI, if it gets a little wild, that's what's happened. Or if I just run away suddenly, that means something's touched down and I've been whisked away to Oz. But anyway, NXT this evening from the Performance Center began with a hype video for the returning Wes Lee as he made his surprise return last week, I think to the joy and elation to pretty much everyone. Dude came back real quick. They detailed a little more of the injury and what it pertained. He did have some back surgery, so some spinal column issues that were taken care of. And Wes made his return tonight, taking on Josh Briggs in our opening match. Wes Lee, I think, not surprisingly, picks up the victory here in just about 10 minutes. Good match, good opening match. I will say it looked like Wes was moving just a hair slower than he had before going out to the injury, which makes complete sense. He's going to have to get back in the swing of things, get back in the flow. But he looked damn good tonight, especially considering what kind of injury he was coming back from. And during the match, we had Ivar make his way down to the ring and do a little bit of commentary. Not super enthralling commentary, but hey, I always love to see Ivar just dressed as a normal fucking dude. He's out there, he's being a biker, no war paint. I'd love for them just to move him away from the Viking gimmick entirely, as everyone watching at home knows. But Wes Lee does pick up the win here, and they had a little bit of a skirmish after the match, which had Wes Lee taking one hell of a dive bump onto the two larger men outside the ring. I mean, you really wouldn't know based off of the high spots that Wes did tonight that he went out with an injury. But like I said, it seemed like he was kind of maybe pacing himself a little just to get back into the flow of everything this evening. All right, guys, just like I said, might be a little bit choppier for me tonight. Got to run through my notes here, running solo. But hey, we appreciate you bearing with us and watching live still. We love you guys tuning in for us. All right, so moving on, we had a quick recap of the NXT Underground match between Natty and Lola Vice from last week, which was bloody fantastic. No blood, but you know what I mean. Also, we had a backstage segment in the locker room for the men's tag team division, in which we had Tyson and Tyreek just kind of run afoul of the No Quarter Catch crew, and that set up for a match that they would have later this evening. We also saw an interaction between Axiom and Nathan Frazier and the Good Brothers, and the Good Brothers trying to give flowers to Frazier and Axiom, putting up the too sweet, congratulating them on the win, and they just left them hanging. And the Good Brothers didn't take too kindly to that. So we'll probably see another match or maybe even a full-fledged program between the two of them going forward. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I forgot to prompt you before we started, but I did want to show off this entrance from one Karmen Petrovic. If you were interested in seeing that.
Yeah, they did. She did get some new graphics tonight, and I will say what I said about Sheamus was his sword, I take back regarding Karmen. But yeah, Karmen. The tail end of the Good Brothers being angry about.
Did they show? Did it not air it? This fucking thing.
No,
this sucks.
It should. No, it did because it should be right after that split second because I saw the video floating around.
It's supposed to air. It's supposed to air right there. That was supposed to be it, but for whatever reason, StreamYard is embarrassing me in front of the wizard. So.
It was cool. I like it. It was rad. Very I don't know, kind of a Kill Bill feel to it, but a very cool new entrance for her as Karmen Petrovic made her way to the ring to take on Shayna Baszler. Baszler picks up the win here in 4 minutes and 17 seconds. I would have liked to have seen this get a little more time. But Baszler taps out Karmen Petrovic with her good friend Natalia there. Good in-ring work on both parts there. Petrovic is getting better week to week. I say this about a lot of women on the roster in NXT, but I see improvements every single week. Her selling is getting a lot better. She legitimately looked in distress when in the clutch from Shayna Baszler, but very, very solid match. And again, just another showcase of how strong the women's division is at NXT. I'm starting to, as much as I like seeing certain names appear on the show, I would like to see more of a focus just on the women's roster in NXT. I feel like you have main event talent come down and they kind of, they're the ones that have the feud sometimes. And I feel like in a way, Petrovic and Vice are almost the props in a feud between Natty and Shayna. Or maybe it's the other way around and I'm misinterpreting it. I don't know how you guys are viewing it, but it does feel that way a little bit. But it's still good to see a compelling story with good matches going on regularly. So solid work all around there. All right, so throughout the evening, we had shots of the women's combine, which was a pretty cool thing to do. They did the same thing with the men when they were gearing up to crown the inaugural North American Championship. So they're doing the similar thing here. They started with 20 women in there this evening. They had a bunch of rounds of competition to determine who would move on, and the top 12 women will be moving on to matches that will begin next week to determine who will be in the ladder match for the inaugural Women's North American Championship. So really looking forward to that going forward. But I'll talk about the 12 women in a little bit. But like I said, they showed those segments throughout the night. And again, very different. Again, it's like the real sports feel to it. There were aspects of it that felt a little bit over the top and a little bit scripted, but it's hick and bottom high. That's what we expect. There's going to be a high school theater feel to some of the things done here. But moving on, as I said, we had a setup backstage with the No Quarter Catch crew taking on Tyson DuPont and Tyreek Igwe. And with the No Quarter Catch crew's catch clause, they didn't know who they were going in there with initially. It ended up being Miles Bourne and Charlie Dempsey. Tyreek and DuPont, right before the match started, we had an announcement from Alicia Taylor stating that the official that was to oversee the match was unavailable. As it turned out, unavailable meant shoved in an ice chest. But that being said, after Luca Crucifino informed her of this, it was announced that Channing Stacks would be the referee for the match tonight. And as you can assume, he was all over the No Quarter Catch crew, counting slow as all get out for them. And shockingly, Tyson and Tyreek win here in about 3 minutes and 54 seconds, which is a quick win with an even quicker count preceding it. As Stacks, it was pretty much I haven't seen a count that fast since Shane McMahon, and that's going way back for the quick count refs there. But Tyson and Tyreek got out of there real quick afterward, and No Quarter Catch crew were understandably upset. But it was good to see Tyson and Tyreek get a win, even if it was a little bit fluky after, failing to win their debut match last week. But hey, as they said backstage earlier tonight, they weren't ashamed of that. There's no shame in losing to vets like the Good Brothers. But backstage, we got a segment that I was really, really hoping we would get. We got an interaction between Chelsea Green and Arianna Grace, and it was everything I could have possibly have wanted and more. All of the eye-rolling facial expressions of Gigi Dolan between the two of them. I would like to see them work together again in the future, possibly as a tag team. They would just be so gloriously aggravating together. But it was a really, really fun segment. And hey, that's going to take me into Arianna Grace's match tonight that she had with Michin. And Michin wins the match in about 3 minutes and 26 seconds. This was pretty cool to see her get a win because this was her first televised singles win since about January. So that was great. Even though it's on NXT, it was cool to see her actually pick up a victory here. And it's over Arianna Grace, someone who's not really going to be hurt and lost. And it's Arianna Grace at NXT. Really fun character, but pretty solid match. Arianna Grace isn't the best in-ring performer they have done at NXT, but she is solid. And Michin has been doing great work for well over a decade in wrestling. So nothing too wild, but good solid TV match here. All right, so before we got to the Supernova Sessions tonight, we had a quick backstage segment of Ridge Holland talking to Thea Hale. For the love of all things good in this world, keep Ridge Holland the hell away from Thea Hale. I don't want to have to drive down to Florida, but I'll do it. It's like 16 hours from here, but I'll do it. Just stop. Just keep her away. Anyway, so he's chatting up Thea Hale, saying that she reminds him of his little girl back home, which was an uncomfortable scene. And I was gleeful to see Lexis King break it up, which shouldn't be the feeling I get when the heel comes and, breaks up a conversation. But that was going to set up for a match later in the night between Lexis King and and Duke Hudson of Chase U. Moving on, we had the Supernova Sessions at the top of hour 2 tonight, when we would finally get the reveal of what was in the mystery envelope held by Lash Legend, shown last week. So they make their way out to the ring, set up. Trick comes out. They prepared a nice little tribute video to Trick that they showed, which was very touching. And they just wanted to get to it. Trick wanted to get to it. What do you have? What do you have on me in that envelope? They made the reveal. They pulled out the envelope. When Noam Dar wrestled Trick Williams going into Trick's match with Ela, apparently Noam Dar's foot was under the rope. Which means the win didn't happen, which means the momentum that Trick had that carried him to victory over Ela Dragunov was false, and if anything, belongs to Noam Dar. And I think much like everyone watching at home, Trick wasn't really impressed with this. I mean, that's all you've got on him. That's really nothing. It's not scandalous. That's not going to cause anyone to get canceled or thrown off air. It's mundane, if anything. And Trick turned around and revealed that he and Lash are something of an item, which is something they've been hinting at and kind of pointing towards. But that's what he claimed tonight. She even called him babe when she was trying to get him to stop with the reveal. But then this sadly led to the metaphor just kicking the ever-loving shit out of our champion Trick Williams, and Noam Dar standing tall with the NXT championship in his hand. So I assume this yes, the line of the night right there. Trick Williams did say to everyone to tell them that Lash calls him Trick Willy Wonka. Because again, playing off of the chocolate references and Reese Cups and Kit Kats and the whole shebang they did last week. But a lot of fun tonight. And yeah, how about this? Sexy Red, viewer of NXT, did not see that coming. I got to give a shout out to CJ in our chat that we have leading up to shows every week. He thought that was Photoshop. He didn't think it was real until John came in with the actual tweet picture as well. So fantastic segment. I always enjoy the Supernova Sessions. I like seeing Noam Dar. It is worth mentioning as well that Lash seemed upset when Aura and Noam were kind of picking at Trick and making fun of him. So I think we might see Lash break away from the metaphor here in the near future, which means I'd have to find somebody new because he can't be the metaphor if there's only 3. It's not how that works. It's not how the math doesn't math for that, guys. It doesn't math at all. So backstage, before going into the next match, we had Natalya and Karmen Petrovic having a conversation. It's kind of regrouping after Carmen's loss. And dude showed up, told Karmen it was no big deal that she lost because she's still really hot in a smoke show. She roundhouse kicked his ass out, which was just a fun little segment to see there. She didn't get the win, but she got the moral victory this evening on NXT. Moving into our next match this evening, we had Kalani Jordan taking on her former friend, frenemy, I'm not sure, taking on Fallon Henley this evening. Great match tonight. Great match. Good work from both women. Solid back and forth. Love going into it when I really don't have the foggiest who's going to win, when it could be either competitor. But Fallon Henley gets the victory here in just around 11 minutes. Continuing her heel work here. It was subtle here. Wasn't anything outright. No really crazy antics or anything like that. But solid in-ring work with a little bit of that heel lean as she threw her into an exposed turnbuckle. So like I said, nothing too crazy, but good work. Get slow burn with that turn. Sean knows what he's doing here. He's keeping a good pace with a lot of the storytelling that he's doing. All right. So here we had finally we had our reveal via our general manager Ava of the 12 women who would be competing in the 6 qualifying matches to determine the competitors for the ladder match. We had Sol Ruka, Thea Hale, Jada Parker, Brindley Reese, Michin, Fallon Henley, Lash Legend, Ivy Nile, Izzy Dame, Kalani Jordan, Tatum Paxley, and Rin Sinclair making the cut in the top 12. I will say I find it a tad interesting here that we have Ivy Nile and Michin both in this. Neither of them actually NXT wrestlers, so but both in the combine and now in the matches to determine who will be in the ladder match. I'm not sure if this is their way of kind of getting NXT some pseudo draft picks. Maybe that's kind of the plan here. They didn't get picks outright, but some main roster talent is going to be permitted to kind of filter in and out as they see fit. Kind of like a loaner program, or like, hey, I want to go hang out at NXT for a while. I can do it with the mention of, Pierce or Aldis. Not really sure, but it was an interesting choice to have 2 non-NXT women in the combine and have them advance as well. But moving on to our next match we had on the card, and the penultimate match on the card this evening. As set up earlier, we had Duke Hudson with Chase University at his side, taking on Lexis King. Short match here. I think this is just kind of little breather before the main event this evening, but Lexis King picks up the win here in 4 minutes and 12 seconds, which is good to get him some wins here. He had been on a little bit of a loss run there for a while, but in the last couple of weeks, he's been turning that around. Still not really sure what their plan long-term is with Lexis King right now. Doesn't really have a major story going. He just kind of keeps showing up and just kind of thorning in folks' side. We did have Ridge Holland make an appearance during the match, which is kind of the storyline reason they gave for Alexis picking up the win this evening. And we did see after that Ridge making his apology to Chase U for causing that to happen. I don't really know why they continue to try to shoehorn Ridge Holland into stories. Everything they've tried done here, it just kind of fizzles out after a week or two. Maybe this will have some legs. Like I said, just from a personal standpoint, I found him, repeatedly saying that he felt the need to help Thea because she reminds him of his little girl back home. And to me, that's just uncomfortable and just kind of weird. But, it is what it is, and that's the story. But again, good heel work from Lexis King. One of my favorite entrances on NXT, that clean slide over into very Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, and which is maybe what they were going for. I don't know, but that's what I think every single week when I see that. So maybe it's just hitting a nice nostalgia part of my heart there. But after that, and before the main event this evening, we had Jasmine Nix get a backstage talk to me, which was really cool to see her getting a little bit of shine tonight, talking about JC Jane getting her nose busted by Thea Hale and making a promise that she would get retribution for JC, and JC herself would also get that retribution. All right. Let's see here. As I said, we had Chase U backstage talking with Ridge Holland as he was making his apologies for the mishap, and Lexis King getting the win in the match prior to that. And let's see. So we had a few matches get set up for next week and announced. We have Sol Ruka taking on Izzy Dame in a qualifying match for the ladder match to determine who will be the inaugural NXT North American champion. And also Ivy Nile taking on Lash Legend. I'm hoping that Lash, I'm sorry, it's not the qualifying match, but we have Ivy Nile taking on Lash Legend. And then also here we will have Javon Evans taking on Noam Dar after a confrontation they had outside the Performance Center this evening as the Metaphor were leaving for the night. Really looking forward to that. Javon Evans is just a blast to watch in the ring. Said this before, but I don't even think the dude jumps. I think he might actually defy gravity. He just floats from place to place. It's absolutely insane. also looking forward to a future match between him and Wes Lee. I think that's inevitability down the road that we'll get him and Wes in a match. And I think that I speak for virtually every NXT fan when they say that that'll be a burner for sure. But yeah, that'll bring us back around to the main event for this evening. And again, I apologize for how quick everything went tonight, guys. Like I said, it's just kind of running down the show pretty quick, trying to hit all the major points. But hey, you know, I'm going to go ahead and take it into my jobber of the night then. It's not going to surprise anybody. I think I've chosen him as jobber of the night more times since he's been back down on the developmental brand than anyone else, but it's Ridge Holland. Because I'd like to say that it's because I continue to not care about what Ridge Holland's doing, but it's not. I'm just kind of wigged out by what Ridge Holland's doing. It went from apathy to cringe, and that's not a great direction for anyone's character to move in. And Ridge is sitting pretty in my jobber of the night spot tonight. Yeah, sitting pretty way too close to Thea Hale. Just get away from Thea. Just like 3 big steps to the left. That's all I'm asking. Just move further away. You know, Jason, it's they do have a really deep roster. I don't know that I'd say it's too much, because to me this is one of my highlights every week as a wrestling fan, is getting to watch the NXT women's roster, just, you know, work their craft on the canvas. But I do think the amount of talent, the obscene amount of talent they have, is why they're adding that mid-card title. And again, I'm really looking forward to that, and I'm very, very in favor of it, even though historically, I'm not someone who just wants a bunch of titles thrown around all willy-nilly. But I do think that this is the time for it, and they have the talent pool to support it. And I believe that they have the talent pool to support having their own tag titles again down there. I will never truly understand why they decided to combine those, but I'd like for the NXT women to get their own tag titles back again as well. But hey, that will move me into my megastar of the night. It's Wes Lee. It's Wes Lee tonight. You know, I went back and forth on a couple folks that it could have been, but I had to give it to Wes just because it was a good showing. It was great to see him back so quickly. Like we all thought he was going to be out for more than a year, if he was ever going to come back at all. And, you know, to just make it a matter of months, coming back, having a great showing, sky's the limit. And I you know, hope to hell he stays healthy. You know, he's over as he's ever been. The man's a megastar. I mean, he is. And like I said, you know, he'll be at NXT for a little while longer. He will be main roster bound eventually, without question. But I look forward to, you know, a lot of future matches for him, especially working with Javon Evans down the road. Going to be fantastic. But that is my megastar of the night. And before we get rolling off the air here, got some shopkeeping we want to do here. Big shout out to one of our sponsors, monk.com, you know, for all your aromatherapy needs. If you feel a particular show of wrestling you've watched this week has just stunk up the joint, go to monk.com, get yourself some aromatherapy, make your place smell good again. DSR 10, get you a discount on there. Go sign up now. We're wrestling fans, guys. We sadly don't have the greatest reputation for scent. So, you know, go to monk.com. When you have your your significant other over, the house is going to smell great. It'll be fantastic. It's a good idea. Monk.com. Also, shout out to Delphin Pod, our original podcast home. Delphin Pod has podcasts all across the board of all imagines. Check them out. You can find anything you want to hear. And just tucked away there is the delicious Pro Wrestling Center, which is us, Dirt Sheet Radio, right there on Delphin Pod. Check us out. Constantly there. Also, we have the... Excuse me, I'm going to take a sip real quick, guys. I've been talking a lot tonight. So this little product placement labels out. You know how it works. But also, John, I'm going to need you to bring the, I forgot the name of the podcast. I apologize. Thank you. Major Issues. Good grief, guys. It's late here as well. But catch the Major Issue Show every single Thursday night with fun topics ranging all across the history of comics, pop culture and comics. Check it out every Thursday night. John's there. It's a good time. Go check it out and enjoy. Folks, I am the Pro Wrestling Hipster, and I'm here every Tuesday night, usually with CJ and Matthew, but tonight it was just me solo. And I want to thank all you guys that stuck with me this evening. I really appreciate everybody staying live tonight. But you can catch me here every Tuesday night. Next week, hopefully not just by myself. I hope I can catch my co-hosts back here with me as well. I mean, I wasn't completely alone this evening. I did have little Molly Holly here with us. So, you know, it wasn't flying completely solo. But yeah, here every Tuesday night, also here every Monday night, breaking down Raw with Caesar and John and whoever else pops into that show. And then also for PLEs when I can make it. But folks, again, thank you so much for tuning in live. We'll see you again next week. It's been a fun time. We'll be back with the whole crew soon, I promise.